I'm here. It's all Digger's fault. Hey, fam. What's up?
Hi guys.
um, sorry, we got talking and stuff happens. So,
Yeah.
hello. It is a lovely Tuesday in April. Um,
Yes. April Fools is finally over. Not that
thank
the
God.
surprises are gonna stop coming, but the worst hit
Yeah.
us, I think. At least in Canada, the worst hit us for now.
Oh, you must not have seen what happened today then.
No, I
Uh,
didn't see anything today. Why?
an American got killed by the Israelis. And then the Israelis killed another Iranian general. They're real happy over there, so that should be
Oh,
fun.
good,
Um,
good.
yeah. So, just the normal. So
Well, good, yeah. I heard there was a second bridge collision too, was there?
there was, yeah. Um,
Yeah.
so there was a second bridge collision in forget where it was at, but uh,
Yeah.
somewhere in the south.
That's the
Um,
thing. Our countries, they keep passing these infrastructure bills with billions of dollars, but then the money disappears and the infrastructure just keeps rotting. And then they're surprised when these sort of things happen.
just keeps getting worse. And they're like,
Yeah.
yeah, we're building it back better. Well,
Yeah.
we're not really.
Yeah.
Um,
We're not building it at all, but our pockets are getting bigger.
right, right. Well, that's like during the bridge show that I did, like it's this bridge was in fair condition. Most of the bridges in Metro Detroit are in poor or I forget what's the there's a classification that's worse than poor. Um, but yeah, I mean they're bad. They're just bad, just plain and simple bad. And God, I wish we had some fair condition bridges. So, but yeah, so if that one came down that easy, and I was trying with every fiber of my being to be like, all right, so this one, like, there's nothing nefarious, there's no conspiracy, there's none of that stuff here. And
Okay.
the more and more I dig into it, I just,
Hmm.
I can't. It's getting tough. It's
Well,
getting
do you think
tough.
there are actually any of the conspiracies around the first one are true, or because I've heard
Well, that
so many different things.
that's what I'm talking about. I mean, that's the one where I'm like, like I just needed that one to be legitimate. I needed it to be just an accident, and
Yeah.
it's getting very hard to believe that at this point. So,
Mm.
between the just some of the stuff that went down, the what was it, $1 trillion insurance policy? Uh, come on,
Well, what's his name? Oh shoot, McConnell's sister-in-law happens to die when her Tesla reverses into a lake.
right?
And that was just a couple weeks ago, and then he decides he's gonna step down, and there's all sorts of weirdness. I
Yeah,
heard some very weirdness posting Elon as like the evil villain of some, Marvel universe sort of thing. And he's got control of all of the internet. He's got control of all the satellites. He can shut off cars if he wants to. Neuralink
right.
is kicking off. And it's just like, there's only so much smoke before you're going to see some fire, you know?
Well, and
And I don't mean necessarily Elon, but there's just so much stuff that is happening that it cannot be coincidence.
and there's a point where if Elon's a bad guy, we're fucked. Like,
Yeah.
plain and simple, we are fucked. Like, things are
Yeah.
going to get really nasty really quick because he has too much power and control and too much of everything. So,
Yeah.
if Elon's not on the good team, then we probably have a
We're
serious
hooped
problem.
anyways. Yeah.
Yeah. So, let's hope for the best with good old
Yeah,
Mr.
I'm
Musk.
really I'm hoping he's gonna be the beneficent tyrant. He's gonna be, a tyrant, but he loves humanity. So he's gonna I think he's if he is the evil person that people want him to be. He's going to be the Trump, the global version of a Trump. Um, Evil, but also out for America first and making sure that America and Americans, the people, are ahead or on top. And I think
Right.
that's the thing we got going for Elon is if he is this villain, at least he really wants humanity to succeed. So
Yeah. And he seems to want, at least from the I talked to somebody today, and we were talking about Elon, and they said, I just think he found drugs or something. I'm like, no, I think he's just that way. Like, I, I don't I don't know. I I I guess it's the same thing as the boat. Like, I'm just hoping that it's not. I'm hoping it's not fuckery. I'm hoping that it's genuine.
yeah.
Because if not, we're in deep shit. And
Yes.
so I guess that's the hope, is that we're not screwed before we start. So
Yeah. Here's hoping.
yeah, we need to. We definitely need to not put our faith and hopes in some random dude that none of us know, though. That's never
No.
usually a good idea. So
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, as long as you're looking out for yourself and your loved ones, not necessarily the family you're born into, but the family that you build um in your life. And we've got to take care of our own and
yeah,
be prepared.
yeah, yeah. I think. Well, I don't know if you want to talk about it, but what we were talking about before with the honk.
Yes.
I mean, you're welcome. I mean, that's kind of good news. All the
Uh
homeless Canadians.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was trying to catch up on chat too. Yes, the
No.
honkening. The honkening 2.0 has started, my friends. Canadians all across our great nation are on their way to either their provincial capital or the actual capital of Canada, which is in Ottawa. People are going there. There is no set date for it to end. This is just a thing that's going to happen. And this time, instead of doing it in the middle of winter at -20, it's the beginning of spring, summer. So it sounds like Canadians are just going to become itinerant homeless on their closest capital, and make the point that we're tired of this. We don't want any more of the bullshit with the kids. We don't want any more of the vaccines or mandates. We do not want any more of the taxes. I don't know if y'all know, but our government likes to raise taxes on April Fools. And this year, April Fools, they upped the carbon tax by 23%, which means that
Holy
everything
shit.
from the seed that gets planted to the cow that gets fed, and then the processing and the traveling, every single step of the way is going to get taxed an extra 23%. So
Wow.
everything that gets shipped, everything, you name it, everything gets hits at every level 23 extra percent. And on the same day, because that's not bad enough, um, he also gave all of the MPs a raise. It worked out to I think it's a $6,000 a year raise. But then because he's prime minister, he gets his MP raise and his prime minister raise. So he gave himself a $16,000 a year raise.
That was so nice of him.
Oh, I know. He really takes care of his own.
Yeah.
But
Jeez.
and people, they're trying to sell this story that 8 out of 10 homes are going to be getting back more in rebates than they're paying out in this new tax. And anyone who believes that is absolutely stupid. So, but by doing this, it's going to be a really great way to usher in the universal income. And with that, we can get on to the social credit system really easy, and the digital coin making our cash worth nothing. Um, yeah, it's all going to plan, and it's going really, really well for the government right now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like they're doing this on purpose.
Yeah. Yeah.
Almost.
Gemstone's got it. The top 1% is responsible for 66% of the carbon emissions, but it's all the poor Canadians are paying for it.
Makes sense. Typical government program.
Yeah. Yeah, it's horrible.
Huh.
So yeah. But there's wins like the honkening. Um it's a beautiful thing, and just keep your eyes on alternate news media, because you're not going to see it on news, but people like Viva and oh, there's so many. uh Travel Fund 60 probably won't be doing it. He had a really bad accident in Thailand, and he's probably not going to be going anywhere anytime soon. But
Huh.
there's a bunch of really good. The Pleb um, is a good one. Moose on the Loose. They'll all be covering it in their various provinces. It's a
Wait.
beautiful thing. Yeah,
Say
we're
that
all
last
going to
one more
become
time.
homeless. Say the last two. Moose on the
No.
Loose.
Yes. God, that's a
Yes.
great name.
I know, he's brilliant. Yes. He's I like him. He's right up my alley. And he actually he's got a cat who is also named Boo, who also really likes to involve themselves in the streams. So
It's awesome.
yes, yes. So there's good, there's True North. There's a few really great independent people who will be covering it, and it's going to be a beautiful thing. They're trying to make every Canadian homeless who will own nothing and be happy. Well, we're going to show them what it's like when everyone is homeless and own
Yeah.
nothing. We're
Huh.
gonna tap down on all of the everything. It's just going to make it, we're going to show everyone what they're voting for.
Yeah. No, I mean it's awesome. And the last one, I mean, it was an event. It was something that was, good to see that people are standing up and kind of pushing back on this bullshit.
Yeah.
And
Well, if they hadn't done it, what they did, the farmers across the world wouldn't be doing what they're doing now. And that's
right.
another thing you're not hearing about, but it's out there. Farmers all across this world are doing the same thing. They are protesting all the ridiculousness with the supposed climate bullshit, and the costs, and the fact that Bill Gates owns like nearly 50% of all of North American arable land.
Mhm. Yeah.
Those are problems that need to be dealt with, and the farmers all across the world are doing it, but we don't hear about it because our governments make sure of it.
Well, yeah, because an informed population is one that's very dangerous. So,
Exactly, and we are definitely uninformed and stupid.
yeah. I mean, but like I've always said, there has to be a breaking point at some point. Like we can't continue down this path forever.
Yeah.
Eventually something's gotta give one way or the other. So,
Well, I have high hopes for the honkening. That's not what they're calling it, but that's my name for it, and I'm sticking to it. It's the honkening, and I think it's a beautiful thing. And now that it's spring going into summer instead of the dead of winter, um, we're going to have the bouncy castles out again. We're going to be feeding the homeless, going to be cleaning the streets. It's going to be another beautiful thing. And I think this time, after the lessons learned from the last one, I think we'll be able to show you guys what civil disobedience really looks like and how it really works.
yeah, it
Yeah,
it
I
will
have
be
a
fun to
good
watch.
feeling.
I'm
Yeah,
excited about it. So,
yeah.
um, but that kind of, I mean, I'm gonna be a good host and try and tie it in. Um, like that,
Segue.
yeah. That kind of has a little bit to do with what we're talking about. The the fact that they think that they are entitled, I guess is the way I'll put it, to the power and the overbearing, overarching bullshit that they try and put up. it
Mhm.
is just it's incredible to me how they think it's almost like they think they deserve the power and the such and such.
They do. They
And
do.
yeah,
It's that
and
simple. They think that they can be a god, not just like God.
yeah.
They can be a god, and they do think that they are fully entitled to it. Apparently, um, do you know about Turdo's brother, the one that died mysteriously?
We've talked about it before, but
Yeah, he disappeared heli skiing. Body was never recovered. But apparently that was part of the you have to do a sacrifice, like supposedly, allegedly, in just the weirdest of newspapers and magazines. Kanye West did the sacrifice thing with his mama.
uh-huh.
Um,
Yeah.
you know, uh, apparently that was the same reasoning for Turdo's brother to have disappeared like he did. That
Okay.
was the sacrifice. If you want to believe those things, it's alleged, and you know all of
Right.
the fun stuff covering asses. But that's the prevailing theory amongst the well, I can't even say conspiracy theorists. It's amongst the theorists. There are too many conspiracies that are real, are not theories. But
Right.
there are some that have not been proven one way or another, and this is one of them. But I always found it interesting.
Well, it's like I think we talked about it last week, like the Diddy thing. Like obviously, I don't know if you shit, I probably can't say that on here. Fuck it, who cares? There's allegedly an audio recording of him uh having sex with Meek Mill
Yeah,
for humiliation.
yeah.
And I listened to it and it's it's not great.
Did you see
But
the video?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um again, not great. Um, but but it seems that this humiliation and this I have control and these are their friends, quote unquote.
Yep.
These are their equals. These are the people that,
Are taking
you
them
know,
places. They're making them stars. Yeah.
right, right. So these are the alleged you know, people on the same plane. What the hell do you think they think of us?
Yeah.
Like, they don't give a flying fuck about any of us.
No, no. We are peons. We are strictly there to do the stuff that they don't want to be bothered to do.
Yeah,
We are their hairdressers and their cooks and their maids and their, drivers. That's all we peons are good for.
right,
But it's interesting. The more you know about this, the easier it is to see in real life, see it happening. And the more you see, the more you see.
right.
It's really very, very interesting and kind of scary. Um, like they're saying so many things out loud. Um, I'm starting to think it's not that they're being any more blatantly obvious. It's just that I'm knowing where to look now. I'm seeing it because I know now. And that's the thing with this series. Um, there's 40 hours or some such. We learn what they know and what they believe. And that gives us a lot of power, which is what Gnosticism is all about.
Damn, that was a good transition.
I know. I was hoping you'd like
Y-
that one.
y- you're a consummate professional. But yeah, it and so that's what we're talking about tonight, Gnosticism. And I don't know. I think that in part, I think they I think they think they're further along in the plan and have more control than and I truly think it's we're gonna shove this in your face and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. I think that plays into it pretty heavy. Um
Yeah. I think they really overplayed their hand with COVID. I think they thought they were going to be able to do a lot more than they did.
yeah.
So,
No, I
but it
agree.
was a test run anyway. So,
Yeah.
in my
Uh,
opinion,
and I think they failed miserably. I don't think they
Yes.
gained the results that they wanted to, but
No, but they did gain a lot of knowledge. It's like the Freedom Convoy. We didn't get the end result that we were looking for, but we learned a lot. And the second time around is going to be a lot better.
yeah.
So we got to remember they learned an awful lot through that experiment.
Hmm.
They may not have gotten the results they were hoping for, but they learned a lot and they're going to come back a lot smarter next time.
Right. Right. Uh, and I mean, you learn and you come back as a more formidable foe, and you chip away. And I think that's your peaceful strategy of getting back to it is just little chips, chip, chip, chip,
Yep. Yep.
Um, so it'll be interesting to see how Trudeau tries to put him down this time.
Yeah. Well, and it's going to be really interesting because um the Conservative Party and Pierre Poilievre, they're damned if they do and damned if they don't. They like he's right now he's denouncing the WEF and he's saying that no one in his party is allowed to do anything with the WEF, but they're completely ignoring the UN agendas that are taking over control of our military, control of our governments, and control of our properties.
Mhm.
Um, they don't talk about them at all because that's the thing. They are controlled opposition, and they can either take control and be controlled opposition, and continue on quietly under the table with the UN stuff and all the scary globalist stuff, or they can stand up for the conservative values that they propose to stand for. But if they do that, then they've got the entire globalist network against them all of a sudden.
Right.
So, they're screwed no matter which way they go. And that's why, in my opinion, the People's Party of Canada, they have Maxime Bernier. I think he is our best option for Canada. I do not think he is clean. I think he's like Trump. I think he's just as dirty as all the rest of them, but he wants to see Canada first.
Right.
So, in that respect, we're okay.
And you're
But he'll
not
never get
gonna
a seat.
you're not gonna get a clean, like, you're not gonna get the perfect person. It's just not gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's not.
If you get
Um,
that far in politics, you're dirty.
right. You got on your knees more than once to get that far.
Yeah. Trump went and he kissed that wall.
Yeah. It's not the only thing, but
Oh
yeah.
no.
So I mean, they've all been there. Like it is what it takes to ascend to that kind of level and that kind of status and that kind of ability to even. I mean, hell, nobody else can just run for president. So
Yeah. Yeah.
um, you have to have, you have to have, you have to have done shady shit to make it to the top, and that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate how our system is, because then you just, shit in, shit out. So
Yep.
um,
Yep. But that's the
probably
way the
always going to be
music
that way.
industry is. That's the way the movie and TV industry is. That's the way politics are. That's the way it is among the elite themselves. They're all
Right.
working towards this globalist agenda, but they all expect to be the one in control at the head of it all. And
Right.
at some point, when they get close enough down to the end game, they're going to have to fight each other.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're nowhere near their end game yet, but we're headed down that path. But every time we learn a little bit more about them and their belief system, it gives us an edge over them.
But
It
there's so
helps
many.
us.
Yeah, there's so much cannon fodder. They have so many of us to go through before they have to start worrying about it.
Well, and that's
So
where Darwin's award winners are going to come into play. Honestly, I think it's a lot of people are going to end up getting hurt and sacrificed, um, but they don't care, and we can't care either. We just need to, within our realm, within our real lives, do as much as we can, IRL, to change things in our area. That's all we can do. We cannot change the world.
yeah,
Um, but we can change our part of it.
Well, we need to change our communities, and we need to change the people around us, and we need to inform people, and we need to band together. And we're not going to get these mass amount of people that are going to get on board and rah rah rah, and then go, walk
Well,
into the halls of government and take it over. And that's not
they're
going to
going to be
happen.
no, they're going to be there's going to be a lot of people that get stuck in the middle. A lot of sheeple are going to get trampled. But
Yeah,
they can be cannon fodder for our globalist agenda friends, or they can act as wake up calls to the rest of us.
right, right.
So
Is this what you were talking about, D?
Nazi fags.
I love that one. That's my
Oh,
favorite.
Oh, one more thing, and then we'll
Yes.
get into the show. I promise. So we're in the show because you transitioned, so we're
Yes.
good.
Yes.
There was a Joe Biden gave a speech about the Baltimore Bridge. Going back to that, and he said that he used to ride over it all the time on a train. Well, there's one problem. There's no fucking train that's currently or ever went over.
Yeah.
So if you watch the progression of the bullshit, it is incredibly interesting because now, when you look at the fact check sites, it's not that it's a lie. They bend over so backwards to try and make this a truth or a
Yes.
half truth
Yes.
that it's like, holy shit,
Yeah.
like you just showed your entire hand. Like you have nothing left to fall back on at this point.
Yep.
Like it's insane. But I saw that, and the clip led to that, and blah blah blah. So we got there eventually.
That's pretty, it's pretty awesome because when they do it like that, when they make these big mistakes, people get to learn the language.
Right.
And then you'll see it the next time.
Yep.
So,
yeah. No, it was so egregious. No, he wasn't talking about this. He was, blah blah blah. Like, no, there was never a train that came over there.
Yeah, like at what point did this happen in his life? Was this while he was fighting corn pop, or was this when the African kids were rubbing on his blonde leg hairs, making it stand up? Like,
yeah,
at what point was he on this train on the bridge that has never had a train?
Well, he was probably on the train letting the kids play with his hair on his legs.
Gotcha. There you go.
Yeah.
And he was probably on the way to see corn pop and take him out.
Probably.
Okay.
Probably.
Take him around back. Yeah.
And Hunter was in the back smoking crack, that kind of shit.
Well, like a good boy should.
Yeah. He's the smartest guy he knows. So
exactly. Oh, yes.
Oh God, it was so egregious. I just had to, but yeah. So we'll get into
we'll learn a little bit more today.
Yeah, for sure. So
all right,
we'll get started.
Welcome once again, folks, to the Hour of the Time and our ongoing series of the exposure of the origins, the history, the doctrine, and the identity of Mystery Babylon. I'm William Cooper. Many of you have written letters and asked, how does one get into the mystery school since no one ever hears anything about it? And there appears not to be a campaign of recruitment, and you're absolutely right. In our research, we have found the requirements to be simple. Be of sound mind and body, have a sincere desire to be illumined, and simply knock up on the door. Well, to continue, remember that the first religion in the world was the religion of the worship of the heavens. And man eventually came to recognize the sun as the representation of the power and the ability of the hidden God of the universe, the invisible God of the universe, the all-powerful creator of everything. But man, as he gained his intellectual ability, began to look toward himself, toward the intellect as that God, and the sun, the representation of what used to be the invisible God of the universe, then became the representation of the intellect, the light, Lucifer. and man began to worship the Luciferian philosophy. He believed, these people who call themselves the guardians of the secrets of the ages and still believe, that man was held prisoner in the Garden of Eden by an unjust, vindictive, and very cruel God, the God of the Bible, and that he was set free from the bonds of ignorance through the gift of intellect given to him by Lucifer through his agent Satan. Now, many people believe that Lucifer and Satan are the same individual entity, and they may be. I don't know the answer to that. I just know what the mystery schools believe, and I know what I personally believe, and what I personally believe doesn't have any bearing on anything. Knowledge, the truth, is what counts, and that's what we're trying to get to the bottom of here. Now, eventually, this philosophy of worshiping the intellect or wisdom or the mind became known as Gnosticism. And the followers of Gnosticism began to be known as the Gnostics. An extraordinary number, folks, of exceedingly bizarre talismans and inscribed stones bear witness to the power of the secret Gnostic organizations, which flourished in various forms during the few centuries immediately before and after the rise of Christianity in the Middle East. You see, one of the oddest emblems of these schools was the figure of Abraxas. Now, that's a human body clothed in a Roman soldier's garb, wielding a battle axe as if threatening an enemy. Now, in its left hand, it carried an elliptical shield upon which the words of power Iao and Sabaoth were sometimes written. The head of this fearsome being was that of a cock with open beak. Now, that symbolized the rising of the morning sun, because the cock crows with the sunrise. 4 legs, it had twin serpents. The serpent throughout history has always been a symbol for wisdom, the gift of intellect, coiling to either side. Underneath the figure sometimes lay a conventionalized thunderbolt. Now, who was Abraxas? His name, in accordance with Kabbalistic computation, is decoded to mean 365. Isn't it absolutely incredible that every single time we investigate one of these, it leads directly to the sun? For 365 days are the number of days in the year, or the exact number of days that it takes the Earth to make one revolution around the sun. Amazing. There was no god or idol belonging to the society, and this is where man made the transition from worshiping a god to worshiping the mind. The Abraxas figure merely represented the aspects of power which went to make up the supreme intelligence, the all-power. The body was man himself. The bird stood for intelligence and the hailing of light, illumination, which is the cock's habit at dawn. The tunic represented the need for struggle or revolution, socialism. The arms, the protection and power given by the dedication to the gnosis, or knowledge. The shield was wisdom. The club or whip, power. The 2 snakes meant nous, insight, and logos, understanding, primordial knowing, which was the gift from Satan, the snake, the serpent.
Yeah. Knowledge of good and
By
evil.
means of this diagram, Gnostic teachers inculcated the theory that man comes to his full power by developing certain facets.
Okay, so I just went through something in my head. So, excuse me. After listening to Bill talk, basically in the intro, so when you're talking about this, you believe in God or the system of God, or that kind of thing. You just think that you're literally better than him. So it's not even that. It's not even like, oh, I don't believe. Like I specifically don't entirely
He's
believe
not
in it.
special as God. In the
Right.
Bible, Satan is sent with a third of the angels to earth because he wanted to be not as God, but better than God. He wanted to be above God. And so now, since humans have eaten from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, that put sin in the world, and it put us in the world with sin. But oh shoot, I'm missing the I'm missing the thing. So yeah, so Satan and the third of the angels were already on the earth. And he came up and talked Eve into eating the apple, and Adam too, and then they got sent down, and that's why I think there are other beings out there, but the earth is under quarantine. So
Okay.
anything mysterious, any people coming back from the dead to visit with you and that sort of thing, I put that down to it would be the evil, the sin, the devil and his fallen angels doing that sort of stuff.
Okay.
So angels can come to earth and help. There's been stories of that forever, but anyone else, any of the other beings, what a lot of people would call aliens, we're under quarantine. No one like that can come and see us on Earth.
Okay.
I don't even
Oh.
think they can come into our universe per se. But these people think that they can, they believe that God is there, right? Because some of them worship Satan, not all of them, but some of them worship Satan, and they all believe that God is there, but they think they can be better than God. Not just as powerful as, but they think that they can be better than.
So I'm mildly narcissistic, and I could never even get close to that level where I'm like, yeah, I'm better than God, bro. Like he's not even on my level. Like that's just such an insane statement to think.
Well,
That,
a lot
oh,
of
he's
these
just
people are trying to attain godhood. So a lot of these people spend their entire lives trying to attain godhood. Whether they attain it or not is a different thing.
right.
But that's what they think they can.
It just makes such a I don't know, it's such a leap to be like, nah, like I'm just better than him. You know?
I know
So
more. I was born into the family that has been, raised in this belief system.
right.
I can totally see people, like Turdo and the others, the rich elite, the Rothschilds, for example, the British royal family. I can totally see them thinking that they can be better than God, and they've been raised into this sort of thing for generations,
Yeah.
for centuries, in some cases. So I don't have any trouble thinking that people like this exist on the earth. I just I didn't realize how many of them had as much control as they did. I guess I didn't realize just how much, as much as I believe in God myself, and my faith has grown, I've also realized just how much other people have faith in this alternate religion. And,
Yeah.
it's scary. I
Yeah.
believe that someday, in my lifetime or not, I believe at some point, Jesus will come back to earth and he will raise the dead. I believe that firmly. And if I believe that firmly, I have no problem thinking that there are people out there like, the Rothschilds, the British family, royal family, thinking that they can be God or that they are God.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I think that I don't know. There's such it's just a crazy thing to think about that. Yeah, no, I'm better than that guy. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I guess it's hard. It's hard to think you're better than anybody. For me, at least. Like, I don't know. We're all unique and have our different pros and cons, but I don't know that anybody's better than anybody here on Earth. So
hmm
to think that you're better than, you know, whatever.
Well, like
So
the Pope decided, oh gosh, I keep forgetting to respond to Sally. I'm better now, and I keep forgetting to respond to her. Oh, anyways, the Pope is the first Jesuit Pope. The Jesuits are like a branch from the original Catholics. They are it's a whole big thing. But the fact that he is the first Jesuit Pope, and he's also the one that's saying that transgenderism and all of that is fine, and God's okay with it, and changing babies is fine, and God loves you for it. He's the one that's going to bring in my opinion, he's bringing in the global Sabbath. They're going to do it, in my opinion, they're going to do it under the name of climate change, and they're going to call it the Green Sabbath, and they're going to force everyone to turn off or shut off for 24 hours in a week, and they're going to choose Sunday as that day. That's his job because he is a Jesuit. That was the job of the first Jesuit Pope. He was supposed to come in at the time that he did to do what he's doing now. So again, everything is going according to plan, and the Vatican totally, fully believes they're going to be in charge on top of everything, right?
Okay. Huh.
So, yeah, there's different factions, and like I said, eventually they're going to get so far down the path that globalism is going to be undeniable, but then they're going to have to fight each other to see who has ultimate control. And these different factions are I'm starting to see some of them.
Yeah.
And they've got a fuck ton of power.
Right.
So I am not surprised. Like, imagine yourself being born into the Rothschild family, right? For centuries, your family has been in control of everything, in control of the World Bank, and in control of every single institution that you can imagine. And intermarrying, they intermarry just like the British royal family does, like they all did with Germany and whatnot pre-World War I. And they're all born and raised thinking that they are a part of the godly family, and even if they themselves are not the ones to achieve godhood, everything that they do in this life pushes their family forward towards that ultimate godhood. So there's a lot of them that don't expect to ever attain godhood, but they're working the plan, and they're going to make sure that the plan comes to fruition, if not for them, for their, the kids that come behind them.
Right.
And they have no problem waiting generations,
Yeah. Patience. Definitely patience.
Yes.
So
we got to remember Mystery Babylon. This is what came up alongside Christianity right from the beginning. Mystery Babylon would be the alternate religion before Judaism ever happened, before Christianity ever happened, before anything else. There was the one true God, the living God, which is what the Christian God is known as, one of its names. But there was also the others who were worshiping other gods. And the main one, the Mystery Babylon, is what has fueled so many different alternate religions and secret societies. So it's never gone away either. It's grown just like the truth of the one living God has grown as well. It's just grown in certain circles, and it's the knowledge. The whole point of having the knowledge is to know more than someone else, right? You need to know more than the person below you. And these people were born thinking they're more than royalty. They are the family lineage to bring God back,
yeah.
This is way before Judaism, way before Christ ever walked the earth, way before anything. This was the alternate. So I have no problem thinking people nowadays believe that they can be God and that they're pushing the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I can see that for sure. But all right,
Mhm.
I won't stop it 4 minutes in this time. I'll let it go. But
Hey,
for a
Dees,
minute.
yeah, I'll help you with that, but I want 50% of all monies coming in.
Hell yeah.
But I got some knowledge we can use.
I was talking to Cheese. Just quick aside. We're gonna go look for the Ark of the Covenant. We think it's in Africa, so it's all
Oh,
right.
really?
We're
I
gonna
know where
find it.
it's already
Yeah.
been found.
So,
Well, oh no,
I mean,
Cheese and I agree
allegedly.
to disagree. We agree to disagree on a lot of what he found. So yeah, we won't get into Ron Wyatt tonight, but
Cheese and I are going to Africa. We're gonna go find the Ark.
well, I'll go with you if I can get out.
I didn't think you were allowed to leave Canada.
Well, I don't know. Leaving might not be as hard as getting back in later.
Yeah, isn't that what I said? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somewhere in Africa, the continent of
Okay.
Africa. We think it is. So.
There's lots of reason to think that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You're wrong, but I'll go along for the ride anyway. It'll be fun.
All right, we're not going down this rabbit hole, but yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Wait, now where do you think it is?
Well, like I said, I believe Ron Wyatt found it. So I believe it is, oh gosh, I don't know what it, modern day. Oh, me and my words are, the name of the place is disappearing. I believe Syria, or maybe it's Iran.
Okay.
Yeah,
Somewhere in the Middle
I'll
East.
send you some stuff about Ron Wyatt. He thinks he's found a lot of stuff. So
Okay.
he knows where the Ark of the Covenant is. And if he's correct on it, it makes a lot of sense to me. So
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Some people think it's in the Vatican. I don't
Yeah.
know.
The Vatican's not big enough to carry the Ark.
There's been some interesting discussions that we've had the last couple days. Mostly because I found something about the shit. Cheese would know what it is. Cheese, are you here? The chronovision from the Vatican's chronovision. They could see, you can see back in time, and they can see the crucifixion, and so on and so forth.
Right. I forgot all about that.
Yeah, and some big people worked on it. Von Braun worked on it. Father Rocketry.
Yeah.
And I think Nikola Tesla worked on it too, if I remember correctly.
Really? I like Tesla. I've always thought he was pretty nifty.
Yeah, I think he's got some cool things that he worked on, that's for sure.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so allegedly that's, anyways, another rabbit hole. All right, we're gonna get back to the show.
Okay.
So
of his mind. He must struggle to arrive at gnosis. But this knowledge is of the mystical kind and is not the mere collection of facts. You see, great stress was laid upon personal mystical experience, to and through which the initiate was guided under conditions of great secrecy. The Gnostics did not confine their studies or their teachings to any one religion, but borrowed illustrations from all that were accessible to them. This caused them to be considered Christians, heretics, Jews who were trying to undermine Christianity, remnants of the Persian sun worshippers. They have been widely studied by early Christian sages, and it is upon the opinions of these latter that many conclusions have been formed. Little or no investigation of these, quote, people of wisdom, unquote, has been done by research workers on the spot in Asia and North Africa, where strong and interesting traces of their beliefs and practices still remain. The main teaching states that there is a supreme being or power which is invisible and has no perceptible form. It is pantheism. This power is the one which can be contacted by mankind, and it is through it that man can control himself and work out his destiny. The various religious teachers through the ages, putting their creeds in many different ways, were in contact with this power they claim, and the religions all contain a more or less hidden kernel of initiation. Now, this is the secret which the knowers can communicate to their disciples. But the secret can be acquired only through exercising the mind and body until the terrestrial man is so refined as to be able to become a vehicle for the use of this power, or, in their terms, illumined. Eventually, the initiate becomes identified with the power, and in the end, he attains his true destiny as purified personality, infinitely superior to the rest of unenlightened mankind, to the state of apotheosis, where he himself is God. The symbolism in which this teaching is concealed, the methods by which the mystical power is attained, vary from one Gnostic society to another, but the constant factor is there: the attainment of that which humankind unconsciously needs. You see, the Gnostic claims that within every man and woman there is an unfulfilled urge which cannot be given any proper expression in the normal way, because there is no social means by which it can be fulfilled. This feeling has been put into man in order that he may seek the fulfillment which the Gnostics can give him. His search for completeness in love, trade, professions, theology is vain and unsuccessful. The theories of the various schools, folks, of Gnosticism with which the Christian clerics came into contact are very much secondary to the rituals and practices which are used to produce the gnosis, the enlightenment, the illumination. This has not been fully understood by too many people who devote much space in trying to work out the beliefs of the knowers by a perusal of their writings or by reports which have been given them by others, simply, folks, because they do not understand the symbolism. It is not clear to them. It is veiled. It is the esoteric wisdom. What were and are the Gnostic practices? Well, first, discipleship, and the inculcated belief that the initiate must struggle, must devote himself as much as possible to the identification with the power which inspires all. Secondly, there are two kinds of men: those who are bound to the earth and to matter, and those who can refine themselves. It is from the latter class that aspirants are chosen, they claim. In every instance that we've investigated, they may choose them from the latter class, but they all end up in the first. Thirdly, the methods by which the divine illumination may come are many and varied, and it is the province of the teacher to choose which path he will give to his disciple to follow. Some Gnostics believe that frenzy and excitement would produce the necessary liberation of the mind from the fetters of the body. Remember the Sphinx? Others consider that this could be done best by fasting and meditation. Present-day Gnostic practice in the East has it that different methods suit different temperaments. And this could be one cause for the historical confusion as to which branch of heretics practiced what. The Gnostics believed themselves to be intellectual aristocrats. Their knowledge was only for the few who were ready to receive it, and that's why they do not recruit. You must knock at the door, and you and only you know when you're ready to receive it. And this is what made them a secret cult, not the fear of persecution. They had their own passwords and shaking hands. They tickled the palm as an identification signal, and they helped one another in every conceivable way, just as Freemasons do today. For they are one and the same, as they have always been one and the same with all the different versions of the mystery throughout the ages. Now, some say that they could not be called pantheists because they considered that the doctrine was secondary to the experience of religion, and the theologians and ordinary priesthood of any religion did not approve of that. They were not, in fact, a religion like most others, because they stressed the importance of the individual before that of the community. Those who were more enlightened were more important in every possible way because they were valuable, refined aristocrats. At the same time, they taught that providing the well-being of the Gnostics was assured. So was that of the community at large. And this meant that they could subscribe to the outward doctrines of any religion and could continue to operate under many different political religious systems. Gnosticism profoundly influenced men's minds, even in Europe, up to and after the Middle Ages, and its basic way of thinking is probably an underlying factor in other secret societies whose members would be surprised to know it, because the pyramidal organizational structure of the membership of these organizations means that nobody below the top, the very top, really knows anything of the true religion and goals of the society to which they belong. And so these people could truly be said to be the greatest group of followers and fools in the history of the world. For they think that they are illumined, but in fact, they are never given any real secrets, and only those at the top truly know what is really going on. Terrible obscenities and other crimes have been laid at the door of the Gnostics by the early ecclesiastical writers, although there is little doubt that some of them did believe in mass ecstasy. It seems unlikely that their secrets were well enough known to enable the commentators to assess them. And in most cases, whenever the commentators tried to assess them, they were assessing the exoteric or the appearance, but not the esoteric or the real truth of the object of the worship of the Gnostics. The belief that certain special men could control their destiny and obtain extra powers through dedication to Gnostic practices meant that inevitably there was a belief in magic. Remember on previous shows we discussed that belief in magic? Magic is real, folks. I have seen it work. It is not to be played with or laughed at or scoffed about. It is dangerous, extremely dangerous. The myriad Gnostic gems are inscribed stones decorated with serpents, Kabbalistic names, and the rest are more likely to be proofs of initiation and talismans than mere identification.
Good enough for me. Hang on. Gotta
Okay.
play the stinger. Sorry. So was checking and there was a breaking news event and I thought it was important to, and so did you guys. So put it to a poll. We'll break in, do this real quick, and then we'll go back to it. Multiple buildings have collapsed after a pair of massive, I can say breaking because this is happening right now, after a massive 7.5 earthquake strikes, triggering tsunami warnings. In Taipei, Taiwan, currently a pair of powerful, massive earthquakes have just occurred. The first one measured 7.5, followed by a 7.4 magnitude aftershock moments later. Numerous reports indicate strong, violent shaking with multiple buildings swaying back and forth. Additionally, multiple buildings have collapsed. Tsunami warnings and sirens have been activated, sounding off an emergency warning and urging residents to evacuate immediately. So we'll look at this footage. Just watch this building. This is nuts. So you can see the camera shake too, but you start to see the building moving as well. I mean, that building is gone.
Holy. Gemstone, you got it bang on. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Oh, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Jeez Louise.
Seems oh, wrong button. It seems pretty devastating. A pretty big earthquake. Here's another short clip from raw alerts. Obviously the camera's shaking quite a bit too, but
Yeah.
obviously it's pretty impactful event.
Wow.
It's crazy. And I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, people that are trying to be God or play God wouldn't have anything to do with trying to manipulate the weather or anything like
Oh,
that.
no, not at all. And completely
Right.
ignore what the Saudis are doing for the next Winter Olympics because they won the
Right.
bid. Yeah.
Right.
Ignore
Exactly.
it all.
Cloud seeding, weather manipulation with HARP, like none of that stuff is real. Like
Yeah, no, I
conspiracy
live right
theorists.
next to Harp, and I can tell you that it's totally innocent. The
Yeah,
fires have
absolutely.
not been out of control or anything,
Correct.
Yeah,
Right.
there's been exactly the same amount of water as there always is rained. No
Yeah.
problems.
You guys are just making shit up at this point.
Yeah.
But obviously, the earthquake's bad enough, and our thoughts and prayers are with the people of Taiwan. Kind of funny that we started hearing grumblings of taking Taiwan recently,
Well, it's
and
that
then
time. There's only two months in the entire year where it would be safely feasible for China to launch an invasion on Taiwan. And I believe the spring is one of them.
yeah, yep.
So, yeah.
March and April. I think this is a perfect time for it. But obviously, when you have something like that, there's concerns with tsunamis. We'll watch a quick report from Fox after this. But reports of water levels are dropping rapidly due to a possible tsunami in Nago, Japan. Reports from Nago, Okinawa indicate the ocean water levels are rapidly dropping due to a tsunami threat. Numerous people are being evacuated from the shoreline as a 3 to 5 meter, 9 to 16 feet. For you American fellas, tsunami is expected to reach the area in 30 minutes. I believe that's about when this post 9:38. Yeah, this is about 10 minutes ago. So, additionally,
Yeah.
magnitude 5.7 earthquake and a 5.2 aftershock just occurred. Tsunami warnings have been issued in Taiwan, Okinawa, Japan, and the Philippines. Furthermore, the main airport in Okinawa, Japan, has suspended flights following tsunami warnings. So they're taking it serious. Yeah, JKD Buck, definite tsunami. I would agree.
There's no way it moves like that.
Right.
It's not.
So that this is just a warning system for. Oh, I thought this was the warning video, but it looks like it's just showing the water levels, apparently. I don't know the area normally, so I don't know if that's. Yeah, I guess you can see the old water line.
The line, yeah.
So
That's pretty huge in a small amount of time.
Yeah. So here's Fox. They did a quick update. We'll, of course, transform this content. So
back to our breaking news out of Japan and Taiwan, where powerful earthquake has collapsed buildings and caused a tsunami. The quake itself closer to Taiwan, that tsunami affecting the southern part of Japan. Taiwan's earthquake monitoring agency put that magnitude at 7.2. The USGS, however, at 7.5. And you can see the buildings shaking, that camera shaking right there. There is word of evacuations near the coast, people told to go to higher ground there, and buildings coming off their foundation.
Yeah, so right now a tsunami alert is in effect for Okinawa. We are expecting a tsunami of up to 9.8 feet, about 10 feet. This is new video just into us that was tweeted out by BNO News. You can
where are Meme and Max
inside a building at that moment. And
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm just wondering where Meme and Max are in relation.
Max is north. He's Japan mainland, so we don't have the map, but Okinawa is one of the islands on the south side of it.
Okay.
I don't actually know where Meme is, but I know Max is kind of central Japan
Okay.
So he would not be in the immediate danger
In the
zone. I'll
immediate.
reach out. Yeah, I'll reach out to Max
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
see what he has
Well,
to say. Here.
definitely prayers for everyone in that entire area. This is that's why I left the Lower Mainland. We've been expecting the big one since the late 80s, since before we moved down there in the late 80s, and it is coming. We're right along the same path as China, Japan. We get all of their whenever anything like this happens, all the stuff that floats away, it gets sucked over into BC. So we're
Okay.
right on that same fault line.
Hang on. Talk for just a second. I'm
Okay.
typing. We know I'm terrible at that.
Yes. No, I'm it's very scary. All the Fukushima, all the flow off from that has been affecting us and our beaches. The same with the last tsunami in China. We're still getting boats and stuff in parts and whole boats washing up on BC's shores. It's would be interesting if it weren't, some of it nuclear waste.
Yeah.
Other than that, though.
All right. Oh, shit. Wrong button. I sent a message to Max, so I just sent him a link if he wants to
good.
pop in. So
Yeah.
but yeah, we'll finish this up.
JK. Big trouble in real China. That's awesome.
You see all this stuff coming off of the shelves. Thankfully, the people impacted taking this video weren't hit by anything like that, but that is a scary place to be when you see that all that potentially could fall on top of you. There are reports on the ground of some buildings that have collapsed. We haven't seen that yet, but witnesses are saying that to news agencies. We have seen some images of landslides in the area. We don't know how many people are potentially injured by all of this. It is safe to assume that some might be, based off of what we are seeing here. We also don't know the impact of this tsunami wave, this 10-foot tsunami wave. For some perspective, this would be a potential 10-foot tsunami wave. The tsunami wave that went to Fukushima back in 2011 that we all remember was 130 feet, so significantly bigger.
Taiwan TV is reporting buildings off their foundations and also reporting people trapped in some of those buildings. It is hard to imagine the damage they might be seeing there on the ground. We, of course, living in earthquake country ourselves, great concern for us here in California. Because this is such an earthquake zone, a lot of those buildings are really built to code to withstand some of these quakes, but a 7.5 or a 7.2 is a very strong quake. It is off the shore there, very close to people, not way out there in the ocean.
And for those of us that remember the Northridge quake back in 1994, that was a 6.7 magnitude quake. So this is exponentially larger than that. And that quake, of course, collapsed freeways and caused billions of dollars of damage. So this is a major news story that will be followed all around the world. It is going to be the big story for the rest of the night. We will continue to follow this on our Fox 11 News at 6, 10, and 11 tonight. More coverage when we come back.
And also
Jacob over on Rumble, he's exactly right. Pacific Northwest Cascadia earthquake potential is terrifying. It's all it's all one, and that's why I left the coast. I am so scared of the earthquake and the coming tsunami. I got on the other side of the mountains, other side of the Rockies. I'm in the interior. We'll be okay. We might burn to death over here, but we're not gonna, get buried in rubble or drown. So
yeah, Cascadia subduction zone. Yeah, scary. That's scary.
Yeah.
Here's a couple more videos. They're completely unverified. I just found out about this and we went live, but allegedly this is a collapse. This is the worst quake in 25 years, at least. And it seems to be in a really bad spot. Again, here's a video of allegedly the earthquake and talking about those highways breaking apart. Here you go. Look at that thing move.
Wow. Well, I wouldn't stop there, buddy. I'd keep driving.
Like,
Wow.
damn.
Jeez Louise.
Damn. Oh, this is not the place I would want to be, especially with Baltimore the other day. On the bridge.
On a moped on a bridge. No way.
That guy's got the right idea.
Yeah, fuck it. I'm gone.
Yep.
You guys sit still and wait for it to be done. I'm getting off.
The previous one, the mountain video was Philippines, says Jake 80 Buck.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, I did not independently verify him. I'm just kind of scrolling to try and find I think I'm relatively certain the other ones were accurate, but
yeah, we've got the Portman Bridge is the one that scares the heck out of me in Vancouver. I used to have to drive over it twice a day, 5-6 days a week. It scared the living piss out of me.
here's a on a train. Holy shit. No, thank you.
On the SkyTrain, no way. Oh, no way. Yeah, see, I'm not afraid of heights. I'm afraid of falling. It's the fall. It's the time where I can watch myself getting closer and closer to smush bug. That scares me. Oh.
Yep.
Yeah. Cannot do it.
I'm not afraid of heights. I'm afraid of the ground approaching very quickly.
That's exactly it.
So this is southern Japan. This is where the quake happened. This is Taiwan. And I assume these are the key's not great, but I assume those are danger areas for the tsunami. 10 feet of water is a hell of a lot of water.
Yeah.
So rescue operations, blah, blah. So yeah, that's unfortunate. I'll keep an eye on it. And see if we can't see the tsunami. Here's a train track that broke. So yeah, I just wanted to briefly kind of go. Oh, here we go. The earthquake was natural or man-made?
Oh wow.
58%.
Yeah.
You know my pick.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, it's obviously unfortunate and devastating, but
it's also things like this can only happen so often. And especially, all at the same time. It seems there's like a rash of fires that turn out to be arson. Then there was the rash of exploding things or crashing, like trains or exploding houses. There was a whole bunch of them all of a sudden. And now it's natural disasters, but it's happening quite a few places across the world. They're expecting the world to shut down like the original turn of the century. They're afraid because of this solar eclipse. Like there's too many weird things happen at the same time that are similar for me to think that it's all coincidental. It can't be.
Right. Oh, I gotcha. I don't know. It's yeah. So I think we'll probably go back to it unless we get a visitor.
Okay. You drive safe, Shenny.
Yeah, drive safe. Be careful.
It's stingy. You take that back. I got one right recently.
Oh, Dick or No Dick dilemma?
Yes.
Yeah. Did you get that one right? I thought they said that one was wrong. I could be wrong.
Oh, right. No, that was Rachel Dolezal, and I knew she looked familiar, but I thought it was a male. I was wrong on that one too. I'm really not good at that game.
But it's definitely Donald Trump's fault, especially.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah. So let's get back to this, and we'll go back to Bill. So.
All right.
Tokens presented to ensure admission to meetings, as some authors have thought. The reason for supposing this is that, one, the gems are very similar in many respects to talismans in use by other communities, including the Egyptians, and two, they can often be interpreted as containing magical messages or diagrammatical invocations. Ethically speaking, Gnostic belief is that there are two principles, that of good and evil. A balance must be struck between these forces, and the balance is in the hands of the Gnostic, the knower, partly because nobody else can tell whether an action is for the eventual good of the individual or the community. And this secret knowledge comes through the mystical insight which the supermen Gnostics attained. There's that reference to a super race or a superman again, which always crops up with these people, as it did with Hitler and many others. The rise of individuals who wrongly believed that they had attained to gnosis, all knowledge, some of whom were leaders of Gnostic societies, produced very notorious characters. Those who followed the way of the Ophite branch glorified the serpent who tempted Eve, and they still do that today. They did this because this snake, by his actions, brought knowledge into the world, gave man the gift of intellect, the use of which will bring him to the state of apotheosis, where man himself will be God. Basilides was a leader who taught that Jesus did not die on the cross, and you will see this crop up all through the history of the mystery schools, even in the Knights Templar. Since matter and material things were considered to be a part of the inferior non-spiritual world, the sect known as the Cainites called upon everyone to destroy those things which belonged to the world, and they called themselves the Destroyers, and their god is the Destroyer. These deviations and aberrants have attracted the greatest attention, as is natural, and the quieter teachers of the creed have received less attention. The pious horror with which the less respectable Gnostics were viewed by the early Christian fathers has stamped itself forever on Western literature and belief about the, quote, enlightened ones, unquote. But in more than one place in the Middle East, as well as in small groups in Western Europe, there are still followers of various schools of Gnosticism. They mainly follow the ideas held by Valentinus, with some variations. And this school teaches its initiates that matter is more evil than good, that man must be purified by mental concentration, that after death, man will rejoin that from which he has been severed and will be unified with those whom he loves in the great intelligence. They also believe that all matter will eventually be destroyed by fire. And if they have their way, that could be absolutely true. The Mandeans, a small but tenacious community which dwells in Iraq, follow an ancient form of Gnosticism, which practices initiation, ecstasy, and some rituals which have been said to resemble those of the Freemasons. And of course they do, because they are. In every Masonic temple, you will see somewhere up on the wall a big letter G. And you will see it in their symbology, in their books. You will see this letter G. And if you ask a Freemason, being bound to the oath never to tell you or reveal the secrets to the profane, which is what they call those who are not initiates or adepts in the mysteries, he will tell you that it stands for God, but that is a lie. It does not stand for God, for I have researched it deeply all the way up the ladder of the stages of initiation. And at the top, those adepts known as the priesthood know this large letter G to represent Gnosticism. And it is an admission that they are indeed the recipients of the ancient Gnostic. They are Gnostics, and they are looking to attain the gnosis, through which they will receive apotheosis. And they believe that they are the only ones in the world who possess truly mature minds, and thus are the only ones in the world capable of ruling the rest of us, whom they refer to as cattle. Cattle. Well, it's time to take a break, folks. Don't go away. I'll be right back after this very short pause. A most detailed account of what was said to be the 7 highest degrees of secret Egyptian initiation was first published in Germany in the 18th century. This strange and very exhaustive document combines many elements from the ancient mysteries. It seems to come from Greek sources, because many of the words used are Greek. And it could well be that we have here the modern beginnings of an attempted revival of ancient mysteries. Whatever it is not one of those fanciful and spurious ones which used to be printed merely to attract the credulous, because it is plausible in containing the sort of material which might well have formed the content of an initiation and mind conditioning system. And if you understand the secret religions as I do, and specifically the modern ones, you will quickly recognize this as authentic. The earliest version known is in the form of an anonymous pamphlet, probably not intended for public sale, of 30-odd pages, printed in 1785. Right in that area of history is momentous occurrences. It was republished in a French translation 30 years later, purporting to be the ritual of the master degree in Freemasonry. And if you know anything about the master degree in Freemasonry, you will soon see that it certainly is exact in its descriptions. The French editor claims that it is a composite ritual derived from the works of some 15 Greek and Roman writers. This degree, we are told, was open to Egyptian kings and priests alone, and only those specially recommended by an initiate could enter it. The usual procedure was that the pharaoh himself introduced the candidate to the priests. By them, he was sent from Heliopolis, the city of the sun, and you'll never escape from the sun when you're studying the mysteries, to the Memphis priests. From there, he went to Thebes. He was circumcised, forbidden to eat poultry or fish, and generally had to abstain from wine. He was put for several months in an underground cave and asked to write down his reflections. When he had done this, he was led to a passage supported by the pillars of Hermes, where he had to learn certain things which were inscribed thereon. As soon as he was word perfect, the Thesmorphus, or the introducer, came to him with a strong whip to keep the uninitiated or the profane at bay. He was blindfolded and his hands bound with cords. Now follows the procedure from the first degree of the select body. The candidate was led to the gate of men, where the introducer touched the shoulder of an apprentice, Portophorus, standing there on guard. He in turn knocked on the gate, which was opened. When the aspirant entered, he was questioned on various matters by the Hierophant. after which he was led around the Barantha in an artificial storm of wind, rain, thunder, and lightning. If he showed no sign of fear, Menes, the expounder, explained the laws of the Krata Rapoa, to which he had to agree. He was then taken in front of the Hierophant, made to kneel, and vowed fidelity with a sword point at his throat. As witness, he called upon the sun, moon, and stars. And where have you heard that before? His eyes were then unbandaged, and he was placed between two spare pillars called bateles, where lay a ladder of 7 steps, behind which were 8 doors of different metals of gradually increasing purity. The Hierophant, then addressing those present, as many Musai are children of the work of celestial investigation, exhorted them to govern their passions and fix their thoughts upon God. Now the sun, the moon, and the stars, you should know by now, represent the doctrine, the church, and the initiates. The sun, of course, is the doctrine, the moon is the church, and the stars are the body of initiates, or the 1,000 points of light. The candidate was taught, folks, that the latter symbolized the wanderings of the soul. He was told the causes of wind, thunder, and lightning, and given other valuable information, such as medical lore. He was given the password of recognition of this degree, which was, and I spell it because I don't know the correct pronunciation, A-M-O-U-N, meaning secrecy. He was taught a grip, given a pyramidal cap, and an apron called xylon. Around his neck was a collar, and he wore no other clothes. His duty was to guard the gate of men in his turn. The Portophorus was now able, after showing his devotion, to proceed to the 2nd degree. Following a prolonged fast, he was taken into a dark chamber called Endymion, the Invitation Grotto. He was now of the degree of Neocorus. Handsome women brought him dainty food. They were the wives of the priest, who endeavored to excite his love. If he resisted these advances, he was further lectured by the master of ceremonies and led into an assembly where the stolista, or water bearer, poured water over him. Then a living serpent was thrown at him. The whole room was full of snakes to test his courage. He was then led to 2 high pillars, between which stood a griffin driving a wheel before him. The pillars symbolized east and west, the griffin the sun, and the wheel of 4 spokes the 4 seasons. He was taught the use of the level and instructed in geometry and architecture. He received a rod entwined by serpents, and that rod is still used today by the medical community. It's called the caducus. And he received the password Heave, meaning serpent, and was told the story of the fall of man. The sign consisted in crossing the arms over the chest, and his duty was to wash the pillars. Now, when the initiate was initiated into the 3rd degree, the member was given the title of Melanophorus. He was led to an anteroom over whose door was written, Gate of Death. The room was full of copies of embalmed bodies and coffins. Here, too, were a number of dissectors, embalmers, and so on. In the center stood the coffin of Osiris. The Melanophorus was asked if he had had a hand in the assassination of his master. On his denying the question, he was seized by 2 tapaxites, or men who buried the dead, and led into a hall where he found all the other Melanophores clothed in black. The king himself, who always was present on these occasions, addressed him in an apparently friendly way, begging him, if he did not feel courage enough to undergo the test now to be applied to him, to accept the golden crown he was offering him. Well, he had already been coached to refuse the crown and tread it underfoot. At this insult, the king called for revenge. Raising his sacrificial axe, he touched the head of the initiate. And in one famous initiation, the king actually beheaded the man. The two corpse carriers threw him on the ground, and the embalmers wrapped him in bandages. All who were present wept. Now he was led to a gate over which was written, Sanctuary of the Spirits. Now the initiate was not supposed to be beheaded in that one famous initiation. And I don't know what they chalked that up to. Now, standing before the gate, the initiate waited. On its being opened, thunder and lightning struck the apparently dead man. Charon received him as a spirit into his boat and carried him to the judges of Hades. Pluto sat on his judgment seat, while Rhadamanthus and Minos, as well as Aethon, Nicreus, Alastor, and Orpheus stood beside him. Very severe questions were put to him as to his former life, and finally he was sentenced to remain in these subterranean vaults. Now remember, this is an initiation, which sometimes lasts for months and even years. The bandages were removed, and he was told never to desire blood, never to leave a corpse unburied, and to believe in the resurrection of the dead and the judgment to come. Now remember, this is long centuries before Christianity. He was taught coffin decoration and the peculiar hierogrammatical script. The sign was an embrace to express the days of wrath. He was kept in these underground chambers until thought fit to proceed to a higher degree. These, quote, days of wrath, unquote, generally lasted for a year and a half, until the initiate was ready for promotion to the fourth degree. The battle of the shades. He was handed a sword and a shield and taken through dark passages. He met certain persons presenting a frightful appearance, carrying torches and serpents. He was attacked with the cry of Panis. He defended himself bravely, but was always taken prisoner. His eyes were bandaged and a cord placed around his neck. Dragging him into a hall, the specters disappeared. He was led into the assembly of initiates and his eyes unbandaged. Before him, he saw a magnificent hall decorated with beautiful paintings. The king and the highest dignitary, the demiurgos, were present. All were wearing their alidai, an Egyptian order composed of sapphires. Among those present were the secretary, the treasurer, and the master of feats. The orator made a speech congratulating the new member on his fortitude. He was given a drink called sais, which he drank to the dregs. And this was probably the ritual drink of honey or milk, water, wine, and gruel, and perhaps some hypnotic drug. He donned the boots of Anubis, took up the shield of Isis, put on the cloak and cap of Orcus. He was handed a sword and told that he must cut off the head of the next person he met in a cave and bring it back to the king. This cave was pointed out to him. Entering it, he saw what seemed to be a beautiful woman, but in reality was a model of one. Now notice it's a woman. He seized this by the hair and severed the head. This he brought back to the monarch, who praised him, telling him that he had symbolically won the head of the Gorgon, wife of Typhon, who had caused the death of Osiris. He was now permitted always to wear the dress which had been given to him, and he was entered in a book as one of the judges of the land. Notice that, one of the judges of the land. He was able to communicate at any time with the king and received an allowance from the court. He was invested with an order, that of Isis in the shape of an owl, And it was revealed to him that the secret name of the great lawgiver was Joa, Joa, which was also the password of this degree. But the password for the meetings of the Christophori, as the fourth degree initiates were called, was Sassicus. The fifth degree, that of Balahate, could not now be refused to the Chrysophorus if he demanded or requested it. He was led to a hall to watch a play at which he was the only onlooker. Other members of the degree went through the hall as if looking for something. One drew his sword, and the terrible figure of Typhon appeared. Of course, he was slain. And now the new Balahate was told that Typhon represented fire, a terrible element which was at the same time indispensable. The password was Chimia, and the teaching was in chemistry or alchemy. In order to become an astronomer of the gate of the gods, the sixth degree, the candidate was taken to the hall of assembly, bound and led to the gate of death. He was shown corpses which had been cast into water, and warned that he might be similarly treated if he broke his oath.
Thank you, Bill. What's what's your view on alchemy as in the religious context and your?
Well, as far as I know, alchemy was just, the beginning of oh, my tablet is all of a sudden going crazy. Yeah, it's just the basis from which scientific reasoning came from. I thought. I don't know that there's necessarily any magic to it. It's the
Yeah, I
same. We got bleeding people and using leeches and whatnot. It's all comes from the same era. It was trial and error, in my opinion.
So you take something. I'm going to use an extreme example, but you take something that's just crazy, and it wasn't necessarily alchemy, but it was in that vein, like the women hysteria thing. Like doctors were essentially sex workers, and
Mm.
like you got a lot of that kind of stuff where it seemed like, and I think from what I've read, some of the ridiculousness was to take advantage of people or to, um, especially during this time, like what he's talking about with where I attribute it back to it. It seemed to be more of a, we're doing this to take advantage of people or enrich ourselves or find a cure to make us omnipotent or incredibly intelligent, that kind of stuff. So I was
Yeah.
just wondering from the
It's
religious context how you guys viewed alchemy. And
I haven't really seen it mentioned in the Bible, so I don't know if it's. I know that there are miracles are performed, but I think that's something different.
yeah,
The closest to alchemy that I can think of for Jesus was he picked up some clay of the road and he spat on it. And he made a paste and he rubbed it on a man's eyes. And when the man washed it off, he could see. He was blind, and then he could see. That's the
okay.
closest thing to it. But I don't think that was alchemy so much as just Jesus teaching a lesson.
Right.
I think honestly, it probably did have a lot to do with using people as guinea pigs. They used to use mercury all the time in medicines, thinking that it
Yeah.
had all these healing purposes. Right? I think that all came from alchemy. It all grew out of the same. Yes, turning water into wine was a definite miracle. That was, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
so let's go to the next. Let's get me really truly canceled, because why
Okay.
not?
Yeah.
So how does it translate to today? Like, how does it translate to, like, because we know that the same people in control. So the jab. How do we not know that that isn't some? Do you see what I'm trying to get to
Yeah.
without
Oh,
like
I think that
expressly saying it?
I think that is exactly what happened. They there's actually video from an ex CEO or CFO maybe of Pfizer, I think it is. I've seen the video. He does a whole speech talking about how certain type of mRNA knowledge they could not find out about because people were unwilling to have such technology just put into themselves. And then, oh, lo and behold, COVID happens and people are lining up and governments are forcing it on people. And
Right.
all of a sudden, that technology is in day-to-day use. So I am sure that was on multiple levels. That was just a test to see what happened. I don't think okay, tinfoil hats here. Tinfoil hats. I think certain people in government, globalist leaders, took saline shots or faked the shots, receiving them completely. I believe that they sent certain types into.
Hey man, how are you?
Hello.
Hold on for 1 second.
Hey, what's up,
I
Mac?
can't hear a bloody thing because I forgot to plug in my forgot to plug in my sound right here. Hold on.
No worries.
Take 2 seconds. Damn it. There we are. Okay, cool. Hey, how are you?
Hello.
Hey, not too bad, Max. How you doing, buddy? Sorry.
Good.
So we were like mid-show, and then we saw that whole tsunami stuff broke. So we were like, "Hell, we'll invite Max." And then we went
Oh,
kind of back mid-show, but yeah, we're just kind of jumping around and having fun tonight. So what's up?
okay.
You're obviously okay. You're standing. Well,
Yeah,
sitting.
okay. It was an earthquake in Taiwan. It was
Right.
a 7.4, and then they were followed by 6.5. That was on the East Coast. I would say like, on the mid East Coast or whatever of Taiwan. So that's way below. The most you ever get is maybe a mild tsunami warning for Okinawa, for one of the lower islands, but Japan really is not an issue. But it is for Taiwan. I mean, 7.5 for Taiwan. It was just off the coast. Is pretty big. The last time they had a 7.7 magnitude earthquake in September 1999, and they had about 2,100 people die in that.
Wow.
But that was like what, 25 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to get the same level of damage because obviously you have better building codes and things like that.
Right.
But yeah, that was that's what happened this morning. Oh, here in Japan, anyways. I think Taiwan is around the same time zone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they were saying because the news reports were saying Okinawa's expected to get a tsunami. What was it, 9 feet or something like that?
10
So,
feet. Yeah.
But
yeah, they had an
figured-
evacuation warning. I got a message like an hour ago from the U.S. mission from the embassy, and they just said tsunami warning. It's going to affect. Well, you say Okinawa. There's the Miyako and the Yaeyama Island regions, right?
Okay.
But I don't think that's. I saw something that was like 0.3 meters. That's like 1 foot.
Yeah.
Really? Huh.
Isn't that right? Okay. Yeah. I don't think it was a 3 meter. Yeah. Or 1 meter. So.
Yeah, because
it's not a.
Yeah, the original report was 3 to 5 meters when we were reading it a while ago, and then
okay.
Yeah, and then I assume it went down because I read somewhere else that it went down, and I assume you knew better than the American
It
media
could be a
would be able
10
to
foot.
know and
It could
trust.
be a 10-foot wave. Who knows? Yeah. What did I get? I got these messages from. Oh, that's in French. 7.5. Yeah, they're not telling me much.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. The latest tsunami information. So, anyways, I got the. I didn't realize the Japanese islands are pretty close. Okay. Yeah. They're pretty close.
Yeah.
The Miyakojima and Yaima, they're way closer to Taiwan. So they estimated it's about 1 meter, a 1 meter tsunami wave. So yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
Which is
good.
still a lot of water, but it's a
Mhm.
lot better than what they were originally reporting. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that's and okay, now I get it. When you go up to the islands like the Amami Islands and Tokara Islands, the maximum height is about it's under 0.2 meters. It's under a foot. Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
those Okinawan, so those islands, Ishigaki-jima and all that, Yaeyama that are really close to Taiwan, those are the ones that are maybe going to get. So I think Taiwan would be. Geez, yeah, I don't know how high they're going to be there.
Oh,
Yeah, there you go.
cheese is, yeah, cheese is on top of it. He
Taiwan
says,
reports of.
Huh?
So that's the other thing that we're. I mean, we all love a good conspiracy.
Oh no. Okay, look, I'm going to make an. There's a guy who sends me messages all the time. So without any, I haven't received anything from him, but he's going to send me something like, the damn Chinese, they did an underground nuclear explosion. Or, you know what? The Japanese are pissed because of Oppenheimer. And so what they did, those Japanese, you can never trust them. That's what they did, just to screw with the Americans. I don't know what else. Oh yeah, okay. Easter, the Jews. They got to do something wrong too, right? They killed Jesus.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was just curious if there was, because I don't know. There's a lot going on. That's what we were talking about earlier. There's just a lot going on right now, and it's always a concern. So,
Yeah.
but yeah.
But as far as conspiracies, it was kind of funny. But with Fukushima, there's this guy. He's on that. He has quite a following. He's a Canadian guy. I think he got Japanese national, Benjamin Fulford. So he's just. I think he has schizophrenia. So he's been posting for decades stuff like, I've been talking directly to the Black Dragon Society and the Illuminati, and I know that the 3/11 earthquake was the Black Dragon Society launching an underwater nuclear weapon, and this is part of this conspiracy, and he's just, it's not if FULFORD, it's just really nutty. So
yeah, I live in BC, so we have been receiving the fallout from Fukushima and from the major earthquake tsunami from China. We've got boats or stuff are still showing up on our shores, but I've never. Oh yeah, it's interesting. I saw a couple on the island found a whole boat and returned it to their owner in China years afterwards.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It was really neat. Yeah.
Huh.
We get on the Japan side, the Japan sea side of Japan. There were once in a while you're going to get these waves of North Korean fishing boats with like emaciated skeletons, on board. So these are people probably either they tried to escape North Korea, or they were or they ran out of fuel while fishing or something.
Yeah.
But these are ghost ships, they're little.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy. Yeah.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I am not a naughty Illuminati nuclear. You take that back. I am not one of them.
So I don't know what other conspiracy theories we're going to get.
Yeah, no, I was just wondering.
Oh, I do have something for American cheese though. You want to talk about Go to the Here's a question you put out. You say, when did North Korea first when did they first test nuclear weapons, like devices? We're not talking about payloads, missiles, or things like that.
Mhm.
So if you go to the Federation of American Scientists or whatever, I think the number you're going to get is early 2000, 2004 or something.
Okay.
Okay, and then you go back and you kind of refresh your memory and say, what was going on at the time with Albright? There was Mitchell Reese. You know, he was a North Korean. Oh, before that, it was Robert Galani or whatever. You know, negotiators, North Korea giving Kim Jong Il $110 million. But we kind of anchored 2004, right? What you got to go back to is the I don't think it's really widely disseminated in English. It damn it, what is his name? I think it's a pen name. Kenji the sushi chef, the former sushi chef for Kim Jong Il.
Okay.
So he came out with a book, and so he's a Japanese sushi chef, and he was a personal sushi chef for Kim Jong Il, and later he continued to do stuff for Kim Jong Un. And he came out with a book several years ago. I don't know if it's translated into English, but he indicates around 1994 there was an explosion in the Yangbang nuclear facility, and a lot of people got killed and burnt and everything, and Kim Jong-il was personally upset. So you're going, wait a minute, that was 94, that was in 2004. So 94, they were exploding devices. Yeah. So there's your that's a good 10 years before you kind of acknowledge that they were experimenting. So
interesting.
And so someone tried to correct me. Go, no, you're wrong. You know, by 10 years. I said, no, look. So there was other stuff going into the 90s too. Like there was an intercept of, sometimes you get like PCB boards and you get chips, and you intercept. Say you get this shipment of wire going from Japan and then maybe to Macau and maybe ultimately North Korea. So, but and so they labeled it a German. In German, wolframite. And so the Japanese side goes, oh, yeah, okay, it's whatever, wolframite. But the American side said, wait a minute, you dumb idiot. Like, what do you think it is? And he shrugged his shoulder because the American spent time in Germany, right? So wolframite is German for tungsten. So suddenly you're thinking, if you need to do a detonation charge, you need this conductivity and simultaneous. So often, plutonium. Tungsten wire is required. So then you start looking at everything else, and you say these are components for nuclear weapons. So what I think they did was, I think they actually did not confiscate everything, because they could PCB boards and chips, they can fuck around with them. So I think they let them go through. That could have been how and why there was an explosion.
So were the Germans in on it, or
no? It was just a matter of language. So if you're looking for alternative names for a substance like tungsten,
right?
It's wolframite. Wolframite is a variant of tungsten, and that normally would have been missed by people who are trying to look for, they'd gotten some information and they're trying to figure out what's going on. And
okay, so they weren't like buying munitions or something from the Germans. It was just.
No.
The Americans didn't.
It was coming from Japan. No, the Americans did. The Japanese side, there are two teams, and so you're looking at all these things going out of Japan, and then you kind of you look at this, and this is not fucking going to Macau or wherever. This is not for. It's not some innocuous metallic wire,
Right.
Yeah.
Huh. So back to the tsunamis. You guys, ever since you guys had unfortunate tsunamis, you guys have been building buildings to withstand this. So it shouldn't be as devastating, right? In Taiwan, like you guys have a different building code, obviously, than we do, and seem to be a little bit more resilient in
Yeah,
that way. So
I don't know. Like I said, in '99, Taiwan, very close to the April 2nd earthquake. September 1999, there was a slightly bigger earthquake of 7.7. Today was 7.4, and it was followed by 6.5. But
Okay.
this 7.7 magnitude killed. I have to go back and check, but about 2,100 Taiwanese people died, and I would think a lot of it would be because of the structural damage. So, well, that was
Yeah.
25 years ago, and so you
Yeah.
would think that likely they kind of rebuilt with better standards.
Well, here's
right.
hoping. They're
Right.
not actually China yet.
Right. Yet.
Yet. Yeah. China's
And-
building their building codes are not up to our par, to say the least.
They had I think earlier they had like something in 1920. So yeah, I go back and I'll probably look up later the September 1999 earthquake in
Okay.
Taiwan.
Interesting.
Yeah, probably that. That's a lot of people for again, it wasn't Taipei, like the capital is right up on the north of the of Taiwan at the top. So yeah, this one right on the east coast, and I was looking at the map, and yeah, where is it? Yeah, Hualianxi. Okay, so it hits. Yeah, I think yeah, I can't show you the pictures or whatever, but yeah, it's I think it's pretty okay. I see that's a big, I don't know how to explain it, but where the epicenter was right on the coast,
Uh-huh.
they have all this urban development just like parallel to the East Coast, Yeah,
Okay.
that's how you have mountains and kind of in the interior, but rather than like just one city, it's just like almost you have urban development like and a river that kind of follows it all the way kind of parallel to the coast.
Oh,
So
interesting.
yeah, that definitely has to be a factor.
Huh.
And
Okay.
it's pretty heavily populated, the island, right? I don't know the actual
Yeah.
population, but I assume
Yeah,
it's
I mean the West Coast, Taichung and everything is opposite side is more populated, I guess. But what I forgot was Hualinchi is it's just it's a thin, I don't know how many miles across it is. It's just like just this thin long, it's like a little mini California, just thin long strip along the
Okay.
coast. Yeah. So it's not as heavily populated as that part as say the West Coast. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So it happened in a decent spot where it shouldn't have. It wouldn't have been like hitting Taipei, is what you're saying. Like that would have been far more devastating.
You can feel it. You can feel it up in Taipei, yeah, definitely, but not as
Okay.
yeah, just at the tip. Yeah, but it's this is right on that. It's like a bean. This is like Taiwan's like I don't know, a bean or something. So it's on
Okay.
it'd be on the right hand side or on the East Coast. Yeah,
Gotcha.
I haven't been to Taiwan for a long time. Fun. It was for a security dealers conference, and I was working for my friend. He was the head of Lehman Brothers, and it's kind of funny. I remember on the last day we're in. Look, this is a long time ago, and we were in the car going to the airport, and he was on a car phone yelling at somebody. Oh, actually, the guy he was yelling at turned out to be from Canada. And he was one of 3 suspects in a triple homicide in '94. I didn't know that at the time. Yeah, absolutely. Wow. I still think he was involved in the other 2 were given life sentences. triple homicide. Yeah.
Huh.
Anyways, he was yelling at this guy, going like, "How stupid can you be?" Then these jets roar by, and he asked me, he goes, "Hey Max, were they MiGs?" And I looked at him. I said, "Hey Jarrett, if they were MiGs, we'd be in a lot of effing trouble. This is Taiwan."
Oh wow.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a good.
Yeah.
Hang on, I'm looking up something because before I say it. Shit. All right, hang on.
Well, here's a question for you, Max.
Mm.
We're studying the Mystery Babylon series. We're learning about the other side of things. Is there any lore of the Mystery Babylon religions coming up through Asia? I don't really know.
No, I'm not. I'm not familiar with
Because there's
that.
secret societies and like the Freemasonry and
Oh yeah. My son has a Freemason keychain. I gave it to him. And
okay. So do secret
so,
societies exist?
but sure, you have again, you have Black Dragon Society, like kind of this pre-World War, early 1900s, late 1800s, Black Dragon Society, things like that.
Okay.
You have kind of ultra. They were kind of the key for these ultra nationalists. You have you also have Freemasons, but that's kind of
That was
and
more of a
they say one of the imperial princes is a member, and I don't know. My friend is a member. He asked me if I wanted to join. I can't. I'm Catholic. Catholic Church says no.
no, yes.
But I know when I follow Robert Whiting, like there's a guy. God, who did he? It wasn't. It might have been Al Shattuck. He died a couple years ago. These guys who work for the old World War II OSS and later CIA, Alonzo Shattuck, and they later worked in Japan after the war. There was one guy, and I forget who. I'm trying to figure out, was it Alonzo Shattuck or was it Willie Gaeta, or they're all dead now. There's another guy I tracked, and I noticed that he ended up founding a Freemasonry chapter first in Yokosuka, which is a naval base, in Japan, and then maybe he was deported. Oh, in any event, he set one up in Manila, in Philippines.
Oh, interesting.
So,
so at if we had to, like, if we're talking globalist agendas, and we're talking about like British royal family, Rothschilds, the big names of the people who are supposedly in charge of it all, who would be the Asian equivalent of, the world rulers, the globalist people? Or is there such a thing?
You could argue that it was, I think most people know it, but when you talk about the late Prime Minister Abe, right, Shinzo Abe, because of the surnames that have been changed, people say, oh yeah, his grandfather was Nobusuke Kishi. Kishi was in charge during the war. His buddy Kodama Yoshio was running Manchuria, and he invited Kishi, who was trained in the Nakano spy school. Kishi was running Shanghai, so Kishi later became prime minister of Japan. But before that, I mean, he was at Sugamo prison, which he was a Class A war criminal, and then he made his way back into politics. But before he was prime minister, his brother. Now his brother has a different surname. I think I don't know why but he changed his brother changed his name from Eisuke Kishi to Sato, and so his younger brother was prime minister. So when you think of Abe's family, you have a lot of
a long line of control.
There's a core, and really you look at Kishi. and definitely, the family. So during the time he was prime minister, a lot of the, um, uh, I think he worked well with American interests, and um, he was both a legitimate politician, but also, the CIA was funding the LDP, but also organized crime, just for
Yeah.
anything and anyone that would combat the communist threat.
Yeah.
And so this is where I think, at some point in time, when you're talking about, it's a sensitive topic, and people say, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about," but Japan, kind of like Israel, is similar. You have a nuclear weapon capability. You have nuclear weapon program. That you're
Yeah.
not going to acknowledge.
Yeah.
Israel is much more obvious, I think. That's a favorite country of Professor Cheese, but
Yes.
Japan, yeah, they're people are going, even Japanese, they go, "Oh no, that couldn't be. I mean, we had Hiroshima and Nagasaki." Wouldn't I said these policies are not made with the average civilian or person, the hoi polloi, in mind.
Exactly.
This
Yeah.
is kind of long term thinking, and it is also done at the encouragement and behest of American government.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Look, Americans really fucked up when they thought there was a time when they thought that India might go socialist, with their relationships with the Soviet Union. So they thought, what if we kind of gave Pakistan a little bit of encouragement on nuclear weapons? That was a huge F up, but that's
Yeah.
something. This is something that Americans did. I mean, later, of course, Pakistan made a lot of, figured out the rest of the puzzle, but yeah, I would say that sort of misguided policy
Yeah.
helped create it.
Interesting.
But Japan definitely, in terms of, for the longest time. Remember, because you also cover rocketry. For the longest time, when everyone else was going to liquid fuel in civilian rockets, Japan, for the longest time, was still sticking to solid fuel. And I remember at the
that.
time when I questioned, I go, "Why?" And at the time, someone said, "Hey, Max, what do you think? Ballistic missiles, what are they?" And they were solid fuel. So
Yeah.
this is one of the things that, of course, now if you point out, well, they're liquid, I said, yeah, I get it. Everything moved on, but you have to go to what was going on at the time, and it also explains why Japan was so slow to convert to liquid fuel.
Yeah. They needed that excuse, that reasoning.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Chinese are still using solid fuel rockets even in their new program. So I think it just takes time for everybody to get to their level and direction. I'm going to just report on this because I think it's interesting. But there are multiple confirmed reports now that there are 39 Chinese warplanes over Taiwan, about 10 Navy vessels. And also about the same time, I don't think it was related at all, but about the same time, the North Koreans successfully tested a Hwasong 16B hypersonic intermediate range ballistic missile. And that was confirmed about 40 minutes ago. So, so it seems like the region's getting a little heated. I think it would be a shitty time for China to move on Taiwan, given that they just had a tragedy. But
well,
no. But what they'll do is, after Fukushima, both the Chinese, and actually, I heard from, at the time he was working for Air Force, maybe DIA. Anyways, he said the Russians were actually a lot more. They would purposely intrude Japanese airspace right after Fukushima. Kind of a form of like fuck you harassment, but they were both Chinese and also Russians at the time. So I would when you hear about the Chinese doing this to Taiwan, I'm thinking, oh, I would absolutely expect it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
With the liquid fuel, do you know this better? Like if you're doing these, if these are liquid fuel missiles and things like that that you're doing, what is that lag time that you have? Well, there's two things that
Uh-huh.
you need to get the liquid fuel ready, and then there's a time where a window of opportunity. I don't know how long that is, but it's certainly not a week. So this is why sometimes you can see these rockets are fueled up, but then it's canceled, but they can't keep postponing it because there's a limit. Otherwise, they have to put the genie back in the bottle in terms
Yeah.
of the fuel.
Yeah, so you have boil off. So the actual limit it's rocket dependent, but usually it's about 28 minutes, 21 to 28 minutes, is what your window outside of your normal fuel time is. Because like SpaceX, when they fuel a Falcon or ULA, when they fuel something, they are fueling up to 7 minutes before liftoff. So we're talking a half an hour buffer time at max. So you get a lot of boil off because the temperature is so extreme between the cryo of the fuel and if we could find a stable room temperature oxidizer, one, scary shit, but two, it'd be game changing. So, but
so this is maybe why the Chinese are sticking with solid fuel. It's a lot easier, right?
Solid fuel, solid fuel is you, as long as your consistency of your fuel's fine, then you just put it in and you light the candle and let it go. There's a lot more complexity to liquid fuel. And then obviously there's room temperature hypergolics, but hypergolics are nasty. And most programs have stopped using them because of their volatility. And if there's an issue, then you get dead astronauts. So semi-stable liquid fuels that are cryogenic, and once you get out of our atmosphere, they're cold enough you don't have to worry about it. So but yeah, so that's part of the reason why. So but
yeah, there's what's going. Oh, I should let you go on with this. You're almost finished this Mystery of Babylon.
Yeah, we got about 6-7 minutes left. So yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna let you go then. Because I don't know so much about this, but I'm sorry to interrupt. Yeah.
No, glad to see that you're okay.
Yeah. No, I'm friends with family in Taiwan. I think I need to check just to make sure they're okay. I mean, it's what's happened typically is whenever there have been disasters in Japan, Taiwan is usually the one country that is actually first to respond positively. And so there's within Japan, there's a real positive relationship with Taiwan. So they will do likewise. That's why when I monitor it, like my kid is working for a politician, like, yeah, make sure you know about it, make sure the response is timely and proactive.
Right.
And yeah, we'll see. Hopefully I don't think right now, I'll look it up later, but I don't think there's anything close to the loss of life that was 25 years ago, because infrastructure is way better.
Yeah.
No, I haven't heard a single death reported. Now, I wouldn't go out on a limb and say that's going to be true, but I haven't seen any reports yet that have been catastrophic and even tens of deaths. So hopefully it's a pretty bad event, but everybody got out and is safe. So
yeah. Oh, and before I go, happy Easter, everyone. That's
yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Take care, guys.
All right, buddy. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a good night. And that was great, Max Mara.
Whew. Yes.
Thank you for stopping by, Max. Sorry, now I'm monitoring this whole cleared the. Anyways, different day. So we'll get back to this. I know we've been back forth, but we'll finish this off strong and finish this last 7 minutes here of the Mystery of Babylon. So
he was given some teaching in astronomy and taken back to the gate of the gods. where he looked at the pictures of the gods while their histories were explained to him. A priestly dance took place, symbolizing the course of the heavenly bodies. He saw a list of members of the order throughout the world and learned the password IBIS for watchfulness. The last and the highest degree was that of propheta, in which all secrets were laid bare. It was conferred following public processions, and when the permission of the king and all the highest members had been obtained, the members secretly left the city by night and retired to some houses built in a square and surrounded by pillars, by the sides of which were placed alternately a shield and a coffin, whose rooms were painted with representations of human life. Now these houses were called maneras, for the people believed them to be visited by the manes of departed men. On their arrival at these houses, the new member, now called prophet, or Saphanath Panka, a man who knows the secrets, was given a drink called oimelas, and told that now all trials were over. He received a cross of peculiar significance, which he was always to wear. He was clothed in a wide, white striped dress called itangi. The usual sign was crossing his arms in his wide sleeves. He could peruse all the sacred books written in the Ammonite language. His greatest privilege was having a vote in the election of a king, and the password was Adan. These mystical societies always continued, and one of special interest is the powerful society in Afghanistan in ancient times called the Roshaniya, or Illuminated Ones. There are actually references to this mystical cult going all the way back through history to the House of Wisdom at Cairo. The major tenets of this cult were the abolition of private property, the elimination of religion, the elimination of nation states, the belief that illumination emanated from the Supreme Being who desired a class of perfect men and women to carry out the organization and direction of the world, belief in a plan to reshape the social system of the world by first taking control of individual countries one by one, and the belief that after reaching the fourth degree, one could communicate directly with the unknown supervisors who had imparted knowledge to initiates throughout the ages. The Roshaniya also called themselves the Order. Initiates took an oath that absolved them of all allegiance except to the Order and stated, quote, I bind myself to perpetual silence and unshaken loyalty and submission to the Order. All humanity which cannot identify itself by our secret sign is our lawful prey, unquote. The oath remains essentially the same to this day. The secret sign was to pass a hand over the forehead, palm inward, the countersign to hold the ear with the fingers and support the elbow in the cupped other hand. Does that sound familiar? If you sit in a courtroom in just about any city in this land, you will see those signs exchanged between lawyers and defendants and judges. And you will see that whenever these signs are exchanged, whoever initiated the exchange will usually, in fact, most often does, win the court case. The Order, of course, is the order of the quest. And the cult preached that there was no heaven, no hell, only a spirit state completely different from life as we know it. The spirit could continue to be powerful on earth through a member of the Order, but only if the spirit had been itself a member of the Order before its death. Thus, members of the Order gained power from the spirits of the dead members. The Roshaniya took in travelers as initiates and then sent them on their way to found new chapters of the Order, and they were called fellow travelers. You see this order, as all before it, and all since, are socialists, communists. It is believed by some that the assassins were a branch of the Roshaniya. And branches of the Roshaniya are the Illuminated Ones, or the Illuminati, exist and still exist everywhere. One of the rules was not to use the same name and never mention, quote, Illuminati, unquote. That rule is still in effect today. And it's probably the breaking of that rule that resulted in Adam Weishaupt's downfall. Remember, folks, that we have really only just begun. and you are just beginning to understand, although some of you may think that you already understand, I can assure you that maybe a very small minority of you really do. Most do not. We have a long way to go in this history and in your own particular individual illumination. Oh, I just love it. I just love it, exposing these people who claim that they're doing everything for the benefit of mankind, who really have all the guilt for most of everything bad that has ever happened to mankind resting squarely upon their shoulders. Now, if you'd like a packet of information, if you'd like to know how to join CAGI, if you'd like to purchase my book, or if you'd like to donate to pay for the airtime of this show, make a check or money order out to WWCR. That's to pay for the airtime. And send it to Stan, along with your request for information and whatever else that you may wish. Send it to Stan, P.O. Box 889, Camp Verde, Arizona, 86322. That's Stan, P.O. Box 889, Camp Verde, Arizona, 86322. Or you can call Stan, talk to him on the phone. He's a really wonderful guy. You'll enjoy it. Call him at 602-567-6109. That's 602-567-6109. Next.
All right. So I'm glad I'm let him blah, 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 advertise for 5 seconds. Just call Stan. Like,
Yeah.
when the hell would that happen anymore? Jesus,
Uh.
you'd get some AI bullshit that would take you around for 4.5 hours and tell you nothing about anything.
Well, try looking up CAGI, their group. It does not exist, and it's been wiped from the internet.
Really? Huh.
Well, at least as far as I can find. Yeah.
Gotcha. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So obviously, we were a little bit everywhere tonight because of the events that happened. However, I think that we got the message as well in it, for the most part, and we had discussion throughout today instead of holding it to the end. So that was probably good because of the way
Helpful.
that everything happened.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and to answer your question, Bill, I still have no idea what the hell you're talking about. I'm excited to learn more, but as of now, I still don't know shit. We're getting there. What are we, 10 of 43?
Yeah,
So
we're getting there. But
we're
the
yeah.
big thing is to remember that this is just it's a series of religions and or secret communities that are all based around the other religion. Everything stems from the mystery Babylon, which Baal worship in the Bible, amongst other things. But that's just one form of it. The end of the day, they think that they can be God or be better than God. They have the same goal as Satan had by trying to take God's place. So it's as long as you remember that it's all about them and that they're willing to take centuries to push a plan and have it actually be in action. They'll take their time. They have patience. So we just have to be able to see. The more that we learn, the more we can see it. And it's interesting to see it in politicians.
Mhm.
It's very interesting.
Well, it's almost like, okay, so I, for example, still I'm not a devout believer in God or anything that has to do with that. But I can understand the two different messages, and one of them is it's me, kiss my ass, and the other one is be decent to people. And I mean, that's not a hard. I mean, that's the absolute boiled down bottom
Wait,
rung of what we're talking about. But it's still what we're talking about, and there's one side that's clearer. This narcissistic trying to be everything and do everything. I don't think that's the way that things should go or need to go. So yeah, I don't know. I think we should just be. I think that's the message you take away. We should just be decent to each other and be unselfish and kind of go from there. Everything else seems like it could kind of work itself out, maybe. So
well, nuclear. Jake. I've got a cousin Jake. I have no idea what this is for, but I choose Jake. But yeah, I mean, at the boiled down gist of it is, yeah, you're either all about yourself and it's all selfishness all the time, or you are selfless, and that means that you are humble and you. Oh no, I did something wrong. But yeah,
oh no,
you worry about everyone else. It's not about you. This life
right,
is not about you. It's about um, taking care of each other. And yeah, at the very basic, that's all it is. Are you looking out for number one, or are you looking out for us all?
right,
And you know, that's why I say God knows your heart. And if you don't know, if you haven't learned a certain lesson, He's not going to punish you for having broken, said rule if you don't know that the rule exists, sort of thing. But He knows
exactly,
your heart, and a good person, you can just tell a good person.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think so too, and I think
Oh, sorry. You needed to clarify because I totally would have chosen Mike. I had no idea what I was choosing. Nuclear, not fair.
oh my God, Tyson is gonna annihilate him,
Oh
but
man, yes, that's gonna be fun.
it's gonna be painful to watch.
It's
But
gonna be quick. It's gonna be fun, and I really hope he bites the other or bites another ear.
oh no. But
Give Jake Paul a taste of real fighters.
we all know that Digger picked Jake Paul.
Yeah, yeah.
Gross.
I didn't know any better.
I didn't even think about it.
Me neither. But yeah, try and be a good person and
Yeah.
watch out for others. And that's kind of that's where we're at today. At the end of the day, we need to look out for ourselves and the loved ones we have around us. We need to make friends with our neighbors. We need to know who we can rely on and who we can't. If you belong to a church, make sure you know the people, and you can get help if you need it. You can help others whenever you can. The more you help others, the more important you become.
Right.
And that's kind of a selfish way to look at it, but it's all about helping each other. And yes, Canucks, we do things nicely. We take care of each other. But if you push us too far, we're gonna turn on you, and yeah, homicidal, genocidal. We don't stand for it. We burned down a White House once upon a time. So
Bastard.
civil disobedience right up until you can't take it anymore.
But so yeah, just don't be an ass. That's the takeaway from tonight. But
Yeah.
but that is the takeaway from tonight. So we're gonna sign off. We went a little bit long because we had the jump ins from different
That was
events.
awesome.
But shit
Well,
happens.
I've got a couple of names to look into now, or veins of research, because I've often been curious as to the Asian arm of the globalist, the groups, because there is one. There has to be at least one, but I don't know enough. So he gave me a couple of routes to look at. That's cool.
Yeah, at least starting point to kind of look into. So yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I always love Max. He's awesome. So
Yeah. Oh, for sure. He knows everything. Not everything. He knows a lot about almost everything.
yeah, yep.
It's very interesting.
He's
Exactly,
a good guy,
Linda.
so.
That's exactly it. Yeah. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Exactly. So, but all right, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it for us on this lovely evening. Mostly because I want to go check on this Taiwan China shit, and can't do a ton of it while I'm streaming. So that's what I'll be doing tonight. So until next time, I hope everyone has a good night, and I will talk to you all very soon. Take care, everybody.